Be my guest, be my guest, be my guest with Sean Boy Joe. Be my guest, be my guest, be my guest with Sean Boy Joe.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new series of the Be My Guest podcast channel. As you can see, things are a bit different because this series, I'm doing things from my flat. As you can see, I've got my backdrop. It's actually my wallpaper. Can you believe that? I am so out there, it's untrue. And I've got a new shirt as well. Look at that. Sadly, it doesn't have the guest that is appearing on my channel today, but I've gone from paint splatter to loads of kids' TV stars, and I'll give you the link as to where you can get this t-shirt afterwards as well, should you wish. Now, today, I am joined by somebody who was involved in one of the most infamous children's television programs of the 1990s and early 2000s. There are many strings to her belt, but the biggest one, of course, is Lala in the Teletubbies. I am joined by the utterly delightful Nikky Smedley. Hello, Nikki.
Oh.
Oh, indeed. That's all we need. And I'm going to say bye-bye now. Bye-bye. That's it. We're done. We are finished. That's the podcast over. They don't say much more than that on a podcast, do they? Imagine having the Teletubbies on a podcast. What would they say? I don't know. But what I like to do with all of the guests is, of course, start with a timeline, go back to a little wee Nikky Smedley, and I want you to tell me and the people that are watching this, the one viewer who's watching this, I'd like you to explain to people how you got into the crazy world of show business, because you are a professionally trained dancer, aren't you?
I am. I just always kind of had it in me. I was just always a really massively show-offy kid, really.
Right.
You know, I'm like lots of kids. I got sent to ballet lessons when I was 3. The whole kind of, Make a Big Window and Good Toes, Naughty Toes and all of that. And I remember 3 I was, and I remember a lovely ballet teacher coming over and saying, oh, we're going to put on a show, and our bit is we're going to do sing a song of sixpence. And I'm going to need one very special little girl to be the blackbird that comes and pecks off the nose of the maid at the end. I wonder who that's going to be. And I just went, well, me.
Yeah.
Vile child. But it wasn't kind of hubris, I didn't have any concept of whether or not I was a good dancer. It was just like, yes, me, stage, that belongs.
Mm-hmm.
And all I wanted to do, I wouldn't go to any careers advice or anything at school. I was just going, no, I'm going to go on stage. And when I was 16, every weekend I used to, well, not every weekend, but a lot of weekends, I'd go down to London and audition for some drama school or other. And they would all say, we don't take anybody at 16, we take them at 18. So then I started auditioning for dance colleges, thinking, I'll go and dance for a couple of years, then I'll go to drama college. And then, life threw me a couple of curveballs. And I ended up just dancing, and I danced for lots of people, and also ran my own dance company, mostly in a kind of arty way, contemporary dance, but also I was in various 80s and 90s pop videos and so forth. And I was in a couple of pop groups singing and did a bit of acting. I ran a cabaret club, out of which were born people like Joe Brand and Vic Reeves. Yeah. So, yeah, kind of the whole gamut, really. And then I just sort of woke up one day and I was 34. And I know it's not very old in the real world. But
it feels old to me. I'm nearly that age.
Well, yeah. Dancer years, though, they're kind of like dog years. And,
right.
So, yeah. And I was really kind of starting to feel, you just kind of, well, I couldn't anyway, keep going at that top standard anymore. Right. So I was just sort of looking around for something else to do, and saw an ad in the back of the stage, and that was the beginning of my Teletubbies journey.
That's when everybody found their job in the stage newspaper.
Well, this ad, it said artists with stamina required for a new children's television show. And then it said something like, people with unusual backgrounds or personalities particularly welcome.
Right.
That really tickled me. I thought it's not many people who would put that in the ad. So
Right.
I applied.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I applied. I went to the audition. And that was sort of October. And then there was like a big process of loads and loads of auditions and whittling down people.
Right.
And it was just before Christmas when I got the phone call telling me that I had the job.
Oh, I see. People may be wondering why I sounded so surprised there, because I thought you said you'd lied.
No.
No, you would
Me?
never lie.
Lie?
Never lie. Never. You applied. No wonder I was so surprised there. But so did you come from that sort of background of entertainment? Were your parents sort of entertainment people?
Not at all. No, not at all.
So where
My
did
dad,
it come from then, this love of just
I have
wanting
no
to be
idea. I have no idea.
Right.
No, it's just sort of in there. No, my dad was an ad man.
Oh, right.
My mum was a stay-at-home housewife, and
Mhm.
no uncles or aunties or grandparents or anything. No
As
interest
you were back then.
in theatre at all. It just,
Mhm.
but somewhere there it was.
Right. And I'm guessing, coming from a very different background, were your parents supportive of you going into the industry?
Not really. No.
Right.
I
Right.
had at my last year at junior school, we had a teacher who was he was very musical. He loved drama, the whole kind of, theatrical thing. And so we got on like a house on fire. And I remember him saying to my parents, you ought to send her to stage school. Don't just go to normal secondary
Right.
school, because that's where she's going to end up. And, send her to. And my parents wouldn't do it. They just went, no, you'll need something to fall back on, which, is kind of tantamount to them saying, you're probably not very good.
Yeah, get a proper job. None of this industry, like, get a proper job, work in a bank. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, it's funny you should say that, because I remember when I was with a band called La Bouche for a while, and we played the Pyramid stage in Glastonbury.
Oh, wow.
Around about 1990, 1991, something like that.
Mhm.
And there were 5 of us, and none of us particularly liked doing the talky bit in between songs. So we just but we take it in turns. And I got the last gap.
Right.
And I took my camera on stage and took a picture, which I still have. I took a picture of the audience and just sort of said,
Yeah.
because I want to show this to my mum, so she stopped banging on about me getting a proper job.
Yeah, it's like, look how many people I'm performing to.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like she wasn't the first one in the audience then going, this is my daughter.
No,
No.
very difficult people to impress, my parents,
Right.
but
Oh,
got
right.
on with
Well,
it
yes.
anyway.
A lot of people, a lot of parents were back then. So you saw the ad in the stage newspaper. So how did that progress? You went for the audition, and what happened after that?
What happened after that? So that was just before Christmas, as I say.
Right.
Then there was a break, and then we started pretty much straight away. So that would have been 1996
Right.
that we started work on the show. And the really brilliant thing was that Anne Wood and Andy Davenport, the geniuses that created it, they were really generous, So the 4 of us, because we were there right at the beginning, so they would explain to us, the philosophy behind it and all what they were trying to do, and the whys and the wherefores. And of course, they wanted us to fulfill their dream, and wanted to make sure that we were performing in the right kind of a way. So the amount that I learned of those pair, it was just phenomenal, really. So we spent a lot of time rehearsing, a lot of time, and of course the costumes hadn't been made in the first instance.
Right.
So we were there sort of as the costumes were developing, as we were sort of rehearsing. We were due to start filming in the April. So we had 3 or 4 months of just getting to know each other, of puppeteering. You were talking before we started the podcast about Robin Stevens, a ragdoll veteran, and master puppeteer. And he came in. I remember when the heads were ready, and he saw us 2 at a time. And I remember Poi, who played Poe, and myself, we were sitting in this little attic room. I can't even remember where, somewhere in Stratford-on-Avon, with our puppet heads on our laps, with the mechanisms to operate in our hands in front of mirrors, just watching how the mouth moved, and trying to be as
Right.
accurate. And it became a kind of, I really loved it. I loved, probably because of the dance background, I loved to try and get it as completely accurate as I could, like the whole
Mhm.
kind of bounce. Like if you say, I don't know, when, you don't say when, you go when. There's a little bounce afterwards.
Mhm.
So, I tried really hard to put all those, even though the movement of the mouth is really limited. I tried to kind of make it be as good as I possibly could because, well, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
It's fascinating. I loved all of that. And then we started work on the tubby dances. They were the first things we rehearsed.
Right.
Because, I mean, which was great for me because I was sort of like,
Yeah.
hey, a
Yeah.
new comfort zone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Poi, she was mostly an actress, really. She'd done some movement, but wasn't a dancer. John was a
Mhm.
stand-up, John and Dave, it was at the time.
Right.
They were stand-up comedians, so they had to get used to the whole dancing thing. And then when Dave was no longer Tinky Winky and Simon Shelton came in, he came from a dance background as well, so he
Mhm.
could just slide right into it.
Right.
Yeah, so that was it really. And that year and most years afterwards, we worked for pretty much when the clocks go forward to when the clocks go back. And that was our working year, 12 hours a day, 5 days a week.
Wow. Wow.
The
So,
week.
I'm guessing in Normal Instincts, people will say, well, did you expect, a program like that to take off as it did? But given Ragdoll's track record from the shows they had produced previously, Tots TV being one of them, Rosie and Jim, you can't not stand there and go, well, actually, I think this is going to be massive.
Well, I didn't know anything about it. I don't
Right.
have any children. I didn't have any friends really with children. I'd never watched, apart from when I was a kid. I
Right.
wasn't au fait with children's television. It
Right.
wasn't that so much. It was Anne. And that happened during the audition process. And she came in to tell us what it was she was trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
And she was sort of saying, there's nothing on television that is aimed specifically at very, very young children. And she wanted to make that something, and she wanted to make it with really higher production values. And she
Mm-hmm.
wanted to connect with the imaginative life of the child and
Right.
wanted it to speak directly to the child and not through an adult conduit. And I think that's partly why some of the parents were a little bit, well, all grown-ups really, mistrusting of it because there wasn't a
Right.
grown-up, on
Right.
screen
Right.
explaining to them what was going on. Anyway, so Anne just talked more and more and more about what she wanted to do. And there was so much eloquence and passion and integrity. And I just totally fell in love. And I just went, I've got to, because, I was, like I say, I was doing lots of auditions.
Yeah.
And up until that point, this was just another audition. Maybe I get it, maybe I don't, whatever.
Right.
As soon as I met Anne, I was like, and I really, really, really want this job because I've got to work with that woman. She is a genius. And
Mm-hmm.
that's at which I thought, and I think this is going to be massive because she'd so clearly identified this niche and had the smarts to be able to pull it off.
Right.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
I did think it was going to be massive just from her and Andy, really.
Absolutely. And Anne Wood is one of these people that works very different to anybody in the way that she was groundbreaking in showing children before any of her content went out so she could get the child's reaction to see whether it would or wouldn't work.
Yeah, that's right. And loads of people do it now. You talk to anybody from Disney and they'll tell you they
Yeah,
invented it, but
it was Anne
and
Wood,
it was
yes.
yeah, it
Saying
was
that.
absolutely. And we, and later on after Tubbies, because I continued working with Ragdoll for I don't know another 8 years or eight or
Yeah, yeah,
10.
yeah.
So when I was on the other side of the camera and producing, so I was part of all that. And you'd take like these little ye oldie fashioned Super 8 cameras to put on top
Mhm.
of the television as you showed the material to children.
Right.
And and yes, so you could record absolutely what their reaction was, and nobody was going to pretend that. I mean, the kids
Mhm.
wouldn't pretend, but you could imagine parents and teachers and saying, "Oh yes, they liked it."
Yeah.
and they didn't really. So, but it's just hugely informative.
Yeah, and I guess it was exclusive to children, so children could watch it knowing that it was a safe thing. Parents didn't have to worry about whether they were watching it or not because they were put in front of the TV, left with babysitters like yourself for 20 minutes.
Yes. Yeah. When I was doing my show, Confessions of a Teletubby, at Edinburgh Fringe this year.
Right.
And one woman, and afterwards, I like to have a little bit of a meet and greet, and people like a selfie and tell me about their experience with Teletubby. And this one woman said it was the only time she used to be able to have a shower.
Yeah. Right. Right.
She had twins, and she said, you know, like there was just something going on all day from the minute I woke up, and I just kind of think, oh God, I want the Teletubbies to come on so I can go and get clean.
But it was just fantastic, and I think to say it's of its time. It was so different that you can explain to everybody now how the set worked, but it wasn't really a set. It was actually on a proper farmer's land, wasn't it?
Yeah. And people say, where did you film Teletubbies? And I said, well, over the hills and far away, of course.
Yeah, and the fact was it was secret as well. You couldn't tell anybody where it was.
No, that's right. Although I think it was The Sun, one of the tabloids did manage to print a map.
Oh, I see.
It was, helpfully.
Right.
So there was a period where you just get these people just randomly would show, a family would arrive on set, you know, and it was just so awkward because...
And you can't police that either, can you?
It's not a fantasy world. It's a place of work, you know, and people... And you'd have to be... And people get really arsy about it. Just I'm really sorry, but you can't come in because
they don't realize this is a farmer's land.
Well, it's not so much the farmer's land, it's the fact that, you know, you're wheeling massive lights around the place and wandering about with bits of scaff and so forth. You know, it's not a safe place for small children to be.
No, right.
So, but yes,
I can't comprehend why people would want to do that as if it's just a random thing. Oh, I'll just go and visit the Teletubby land. I can get it now because I've seen lots of YouTube videos in recent years, because for those that don't know, the Tots TV house was literally meters away from Teletubby land, and they would go and visit this derelict house, and it's now demolished simply because the farmer doesn't want people walking over the land. I can get it from an adult's point of view. They want the history and the nostalgia, but it baffles me how families go, "I'll just go to Teletubby land. You're actually filming a TV show here. You do need to let us get on with it."
Yeah, I suppose it shows the power, the power of the illusion.
Yeah.
People just sort of imagine they can stroll up and just have a bit of a play. So, which would have been lovely, but not what was going on.
Yeah. So, what happened? Because I'm guessing that you only ever had the land as a lease until the series ended, then it had to go back to the way it was.
Well, yeah. I mean, we didn't lease the land. We just had the farmer just said. Okay. But it was part of because you had to apply to the council for planning permission.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So it is part of the planning permission that afterwards we would put it back to nature. And that's partly to stop people yamping all over the land, but also because, you know, they'd be going again to a dangerous, gradually deteriorating place. So yes, that was the deal with that. But first of all, because first of all, they kind of excavated, you know, so all the hills were made, and then the big circular foundation in the middle for where the dome would go. And because there was a public footpath not too far away, and some people reported it to the council that somebody was building an alien landing pad in the middle of the Warwickshire countryside. Which, I suppose in a way we sort of were.
Yeah. Maybe little did they know how big it was going to become. It does make sense. Did you ever expect, because not only did you have the TV shows, Ragdoll were very good at marketing their programs as well, and with a TV show comes a lot of merchandise, a lot of products, and you would have queues and queues around Christmas of people queuing up for a Poe and a La-La. I mean, did you...
I was the best-selling toy of 1997.
Yeah, that's something to put in. Well, you'd probably put it in your book, which we'll talk about soon. But I mean, everybody in, as you rightly said, 1997 wanted a Teletubby, and if you didn't get one, then you'd have a very upset child.
That's right. I got a lot of phone calls from all kinds of people,
Yeah.
people that I worked for and hadn't renewed my contract, or
Right.
people were really bad late payers, all sorts of random
Right.
people that I just think, why do you think I'm going to do you a favor? Ringing me
Yeah.
up and saying, oh, can you get me a toy? But even
Right.
people, nice people I liked, can you get me a
Yeah.
toy? But it's nothing to do with me.
No,
You're just a puppet in the field.
that's it. Go and speak to Toys R Us. They're the ones selling it. Yeah.
So, no, I couldn't do anything to help with that at all.
No. No, I guess you couldn't. Do not go to Nikki if you wanted to. Maybe now you've got more Teletubbies. Do you keep them over the years, the stuff you have?
I keep some stuff. I mean, when it first came out, Anne gave us, it was very sweet. We came into work one day, and in the porter cabin that was our dressing room were
Right.
these 4 giant boxes, color coded,
Right.
and inside a whole set of the first plush dolls.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, a really nice little gift for us.
Yeah.
And I still have mine. Mine is completely intact. I have never ripped the wrapping paper.
Don't lose its value. Lala's expensive nowadays.
Yes.
Um,
I don't have very many, I don't have a lot,
right.
but I know I
You
have
don't have a
those.
shrine of things then. No.
I don't. Just
No.
behind me here,
Right.
doop, doop,
Yeah.
it's my double platinum disc from the single.
Oh gosh, yes. Back when in 1993, Mr. Blobby could get to #1, Bob the Builder was topping the charts, and the Teletubbies were too.
That's
I mean,
right. And we would have got the Christmas #1 if it hadn't have been for those pesky Spice Girls.
oh well, it was the Spice Girls, so you
Yeah,
can
I
let
know.
them off for
I
that.
don't begrudge them. And we are also
No, not the Spice
we're
Girls.
also the people who kept Robbie Williams off the top spot as well. So
There
sorry,
you go. So you're in good company. You really are. Teletubbies was very lovely to watch and a joyous show to work on. But off screen, it wasn't always, the same. And there's a lot of press around the Teletubbies, as you mentioned before, about its educational purposes. So what were your experiences living at it at the time? What was the backlash, like for you back then? Must have been quite hard.
It was really, because perhaps it sounds bad to say so, but we all knew we were right. And to have all
Yeah.
these people saying, oh, it's going to dumb down language and so on and so
Mhm.
forth. And the only thing, Andy is a child speech specialist.
Right.
There's
Okay.
reasons why. And of course, now it's been completely vindicated. The fact that people say, oh, well, you just talk gibberish. No, we didn't. It was very carefully scripted. And the way we spoke was in the way that children learn language.
Absolutely.
They learn the cadence of like the tune before the lyrics, really.
Yeah, right.
Before they have the vocabulary to fill it, which is exactly
Yeah.
what we did. We had a carefully constructed list of the phrases that we always said, you're again, and man away,
Yeah.
and all those sorts of
Yeah.
things. And then
She can
if
still
the
do it,
narrator
people.
also-
She can still do it.
if the narrator would say something more convoluted, then we'd just have a go,
Right.
in the way that children do, just trying to get their tongues around new words.
Yes, yeah.
So yes, I mean, we weren't going to change it. That was the whole point, was that we were doing it for the children and not for the people who were criticizing us. That's the main point. So,
Yeah.
and like the language, it's another thing that has been vindicated since. But yes,
Mhm.
so that was it. We felt sorry for Anne and Andy because it was their baby. They
Oh, of
created
course.
it. So yeah, just felt that it was
Lala was your baby for so many years, and then you sort of had to part ways with her and let her go and see her, in other forms, because it's just proven that the Teletubbies is still as popular today. What do you make of this? And you probably haven't watched it, but what do you make of the new Teletubbies and the new era of Teletubbies?
I worked on it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I did. It was quite fortuitous. It was
Behind the cameras, I should imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Maddie Darrell, who was half of Darrell McQueen, the production company that do the new Teletubbies,
Right.
she happened to bump into Sue James, who was our series producer at some TV do, and they got chatting.
Right.
And Sue, God bless her, said to Maddie, you need to talk to Nikky Smedley. You need Nikky Smedley on board because she is, apart from Anne and Andy, she is the most Teletubby person there is. And so, yeah, Maddie rang me up and said, will you come and help? Will you meet with the director and the writers and everything? And I ended up being involved with the casting, and was just sort of bestowing my knowledge of tubbiness, you know,
yeah.
as the elder tub.
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah,
yeah.
So the Teletubbies is one thing. Talk to me about the costumes, because I can't imagine being in a big costume like that, walking around a field. I mean, how was it working inside the costume?
Exhausting.
Mm.
I mean, I think my costume from the soles of my feet to the tip of my aerial was about 8 foot.
Oh, wow.
It's about 4 stone, something like that.
Mm.
So yes, very big, very heavy, very sweaty, very isolating. When I first we went to the costume, like I say, we were, you know, we sort of grew with the costumes.
Yeah.
We went down to the Nikki Lyons, who designed and created them. She lived in West Norwood, and we all went down to Norwood for a fitting one day.
Right.
And the plastic moldings, the black plastic moldings that were the tubby faces, they had just arrived. And I was just leaving. And he said, oh, look, the heads are here, the heads are here. And my boyfriend had come to pick me up.
Right.
And she's going, look at this, look at this. And he said, what size is the real one going to be? This is the real one.
Yeah.
Really. Oh, my Lord.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that was the body was actually not too bad when you just had your little puny human head poking out. The head, really, I mean, I can't even fit my demonstration of how wide it is on my eyes. Up
doesn't come across on TV, does it? No.
Absolutely gigantic.
Yeah.
Had necks like Mike Tyson, you know.
Yeah, and then having to move about in them as well, you know.
Well, they were really responsive. That was the great thing.
Okay.
Because you would imagine that you would have to sort of make your movements really huge in order to make it register, but they were really sensitive, so you could be quite subtle.
Right.
As I hope comes through in my performance.
Yes, absolutely.
They were great. And of course, I'd been a dancer, so you know, it's not like I was unfit or
it does help to have that
physical work. But this was just another level completely.
So you've had a very good ongoing relationship with Ragdoll, you know, for many, many years after that, and they've had, you know, still to this day, great success in producing children's TV. And one of those other programs that you worked on, and it's more behind the scenes, is of course Boohbah, which is even more stranger than the Teletubbies. So just explain to me about Boohbah, and for those that maybe don't know, because it was, you know, in the early 2000s, a little after my time, I'll admit, but I still remember it because it was, you know, everywhere, just like the Teletubbies was.
I loved Boohbah. Boohbah was my baby. See, over there again, next to my double platinum disc. That's my BAFTA nomination.
Wow, there we go.
That's my little glory corner over there.
Lovely. Yeah.
No, I like Boohbah because Anne and I worked very closely with Robin Stevens on that, because he handled all the, I don't know if you remember, there was a kind of story section, these sort of archetypal story people, and their little stories, they would be sort of like about a problem that needed solving. And it was great when we were testing that in front of the children, and all the children, we left enough time for the children to come up with a solution before the characters came up with a solution. That was all Robin's. And then the Boohbah themselves, that was all me.
Right.
So I choreographed all of that and cast them, and they were a fantastic group of people to work with.
Right.
It was really a tremendous amount of fun. And I was given, I mean, it was just a choreographer's dream, really, because Anne just went, just go and make loads of dances.
Right.
So, okay, well, I'm going to make these little ones and these great long ones, and it's going to be like this. And it was just fabulous. And so
you were definitely in your element there.
Yeah, and the whole point of it was that, very much like Teletubbies, there was not going to be an adult person there. because we wanted to make something that got children off the couch and got them dancing.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't want there to be a grown-up there going, come on, come and dance with me, because you know how it is sometimes with
patronizing,
kids,
yeah.
you ask them to do a thing, they're just going to go, well, I won't then.
Right.
So we just wanted to make movement that looked so fun that they'd have to get up and
just copy it instantly, yeah.
Yeah, and we were hugely, I mean, I did a lot of research with a lot of children to have these are the movements that really turn them on, you know, and then made those into dances. And it was, I mean, that was fantastic. That tested so well.
Yeah, internationally as well.
Getting up and joining, you just think, brilliant. That's exactly what.
Wasn't it the first program to be broadcast in Asian countries for children?
In India and China.
Right. Yeah. How incredible is that? A British program like that to be broadcast.
Yeah. Yes, it is. It had a bit of a rough trot of it over here.
Right.
But yeah, very successful in America and internationally not bad either. And those two feathers in the cap.
Right. You talk about the costumes for the Teletubbies. I mean, I hasten to ask about the costumes for Boohbah. They look massive. They
were kind of body-wise, sort of equivalent to Teletubbies, a bit lighter because it was lots of netting. And they didn't have the huge kind of so much huge padding. And also the heads were much smaller. So there was that. But I mean, like I say, they were incredible people to work with, you know, like, because I didn't hold back with the choreography just because it's going to be in a big suit.
No, I'll have to watch it back with my little one and say, oh, look, I can see what you mean now with this choreography here.
Look, I tell you what, look.
Yeah.
In fact, I've just realised who I've got over here.
All right.
It's my Zumba.
Oh, Zumba. Oh, isn't he lovely?
Isn't he? Because I got, as I say, it was very big in America.
Yeah.
I did a few live appearances there. We did this fantastic kind of big Boohbah dance event at Toys R Us in Times Square. And we did a few of them, Las Vegas and various other places. So that was my present from the New York office.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's your prized possession. There you go. Wonderful. So let's move on slightly. You, of course, as I mentioned, had a very long longevity with Ragdoll, and you still continue to work behind the scenes. You worked on, you know, one of their most recent productions, which is In the Night Garden. Yeah, talk to me about your roles in that. That was a beautifully written and performed show.
Really? Again, that was I worked with the cast there to sort of help them perform in the Ragdoll way, I suppose.
Right.
What was really lovely about that was that Rebecca, who played Upsy Daisy, and Nick, who played Iggle Piggle, they then went on to play Lala and Dipsy in the new Teletubbies. So
that's a nice story.
That was great. It's like, oh, fab, I've trained you people already.
Yeah, you've learned from the best, you know, yeah.
Yeah, Night Garden was nice to work on, but I think it was something to do with the place where Night Garden was filmed in the woods.
Right.
It wasn't. I mean, I have no criticism of the program at all, but just from a personal point of view, you know, in shady, damp woodland rather than the glorious open countryside of Tubbyland.
Right. Oh, I see. So it was similar to the way Ragdoll had previously produced programs, that it was not a set.
No, there were bits of set, like where they slept. That was a Tombliboos, I think, inside the Tombliboo.
Right, I see.
That was set. But, and of course, there was the Pontipines and the Wattifers, the little tiny people.
Right.
That was hilarious. So like a big on a big table, and then just loads of us all crammed underneath, wiggling.
Oh, I see. So you've done a little bit of puppeteering as well.
Yeah.
What do you prefer doing? Because nowadays, and we're going to talk about this in a second, you know, you're on stage talking about your career to many people. What do you prefer doing? You know, you've still got a love for dancing and all of this stuff. But do you prefer being behind the cameras now and sort of watching and being a part of how the magic happens?
I suppose that's what I've done most of. I mean, the most recent TV.
You want to be back in that tubby outfit, don't you? That's what you want to be doing.
No,
no,
no, I really don't.
no, not at all.
The most recent thing I've done was I worked for probably 3 years choreographing for Coco Melon, the online channel.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So that was fun. I haven't done anything actually performing on screen for a long time.
Right.
It's mostly stage. But I don't like to kind of do one or the other. It's nice to have a bit of a
yes, absolutely.
bit of writing, a bit of performing, a bit of creating, you know.
Absolutely. Right, give us a little glimpse of your book. Show us your book. I can do a ting. I can do an Alison ting like I'm on this morning. Ting. There we go. Over the hills and far away.
Backwards, I know, but there we go.
There,
Over the hills and far away.
Yeah.
It's a memoir. It's a hoot. And she gives lots of backstage gossip and.
Well, that's a very apt title, Over the Hills and Far Away. And of course, I like the way that you are. It's only your face that's shown, because really, you know, if people don't know, you know, I guess you can walk down the street relatively. People will go, unless you speak like Lala, they won't necessarily know. So that's quite a nice secret to have, isn't it?
It is quite funny when, as I say, I took my show Confessions of a Teletubby based on the book.
Yeah, yeah.
I took that to Edinburgh Fringe a couple of years on the trot. And last year I was there for about a fortnight.
Mm-hmm.
And of course you have to go out and flyering people and encouraging them to come and see you. So I had flyers, pick a group of millennials, people who grew up with the show. I go out and I'd hand out my flyers and explain, yes, I played Lala in the original Teletubbies and this is my show and there's all the backstage gossip and secrets given away and blah, blah. And they just sort of go, right, okay. And you could see that they just totally didn't believe me. So then I would have to go, and then you're going, shit off. You know? Oh my God, you really are. And then
it's like, you don't look like the character you play. Of course you don't. You can't be Lala. You do nothing like Lala.
I know. So that was very sweet and fun.
yeah, I can imagine. So who are the audiences that come and see you now? Because I guess you have the millennials, but because I mean the Teletubbies has had such a longevity, you've probably got a wide variety of audiences coming to see you.
Yeah, I'd say it was about 50 children at the time and grew up with it, who are now in their 20s and 30s.
Yeah, yeah.
And then 50% mix of, I get quite a lot of old people who come, who were parents or carers or grandparents even at the time, and watched it with their little ones and want to come and find out what it was like from the human perspective.
Right.
And then there's a sort of the people who were students who watched it as it came out. So yeah, it's quite a big mix.
Does Lala make an appearance on the stage?
Obviously.
Yeah, but what you was going to say. Yes. There we go. Yeah, absolutely. So let's come on to, I guess, more.
I've only got about 5 more minutes, by the way.
Oh, that's all right. So let's go on to present day then. Hopefully you can fit everything you're doing in 5 minutes. I'm sure you're massively busy. You've got your stage show. And how long have you been doing that for? How many years?
I created that for Fringe 23.
Right, okay.
I toured it. I've been touring it since. I've got a lot of dates next year, so watch out for Confessions of a Teletubby in your town.
I must come along to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you doing it in theatres then?
Well, yes, theatres and art centres, some pub theatres.
Oh, lovely.
Some rural touring in village halls and things like that. So yes, I'm very easy to see because I don't, it's just sort of.
You love traveling.
Why not? I could just sort of show up and do it. So
that's it. Yeah. That's it. And people still show interest. So look out, as Nikki said, for a town near you. She'll be coming to you, and you can meet Nikki herself as well. I mean, how do you, I guess, how do you feel when people sort of nowadays you are recognized a little more, I guess, from the book and your face is more known? You know, how do you feel when people come up to you and say, "Oh, can you just do Lala?" Because some people don't like to be known as the one character,
Yeah. No, I don't mind at all.
right?
I mean, I'm not really recognized.
Oh,
I remember one of the gigs I did last year, I think it was in Lytham St Anne's, and it's the only time it's happened. And I pulled
mm,
up into the car park, and there was a little group of people waiting by the stage door to say and
mm.
get me to sign autographs and things. That was really cute. So, ooh, felt like a proper celebrity, not just
Wow.
somebody with one very famous outfit.
Absolutely, absolutely. So talk to me then, as I mentioned about besides the stage shows, what you're doing now. What's a Nikki Smedley up to nowadays?
Well, I mean the touring, because it's just me,
Yeah,
I don't have an entourage, I don't have a team of people, so
you're bearing all. Yeah,
I have to do the tour booking, and I have to do all the booking of hotels and transport and blah blah blah.
right,
So, that takes up an awful lot of my time. I'm also writing
right.
a couple of things. I have a couple of big projects in the pipeline, but I can't
You're
tell
not going to tell me.
you. No.
They always say that.
Well, I
We'll
can't. I've
we'll
signed
tickle it
things.
out of you one
No.
day. You'll get
But
in
it's
serious trouble.
something that is might be exciting for anybody who enjoyed Teletubbies.
Ah, well, there you go. Now my people are going to be saying the one person's going to be messaging, "What's she talking about?" You'll just have to wait and see. Right, Nikki, it's been fabulous talking to you. You know, it's been a long time coming. It's because we've tried before, and we've both been very busy with lots of stuff. But you have kicked off brand new run for a brand new year, and I'm so pleased that you have.
Thank you for
Um,
having me. I hope you have a good year of it.
Oh, thank you very much. I will do what I do with all guests, and you're no exception. Although I think Lala is a little bit off the stratosphere. With her voice, she's quite high pitched. So let's see if you can sign us out with Lala and tell the people that are watching why they should tune into your show, and of course this podcast.
Maybe it's time for the tubby bye-bye. Thank you for very much watching with the Lala and the Torn of the podcast and of the show Confessions of a Teletubby. That's all. Have a good year with podcast.
That was perfect. I understood every single word of it. Very rare indeed. I think that's the most Lala spoken. She says no. You go and see her at the
PG.
Confessions of a Teletubby, and you'll see that Lala will speak for a whole hour on stage. Why not? I thank everybody for tuning in to the brand new episode of
Yeah, do.
the Be
Thank
My
you very
Guest
much for
podcast
having
channel.
me, and I do hope you have a great year of
Oh,
podcast.
well, thank you very much, Nikki. I will see everybody in the next podcast. Nikky Smedley, you have been my blast from the past in a podcast. You have been Lala and Gaga all the way through this podcast, and I've loved it. It's been great fun. So thank you very much.
Thank you.